threshold would need to be achieved before we see some level of easing of restrictions. Why do you keep on insisting that 50% could be enough to ease some restrictions?
Can I just say, Dr. Chant and I have been absolutely aligned on this issue. The Doherty report says that if you want significant freedoms, you need 70% of your population fully vaccinated. And we've made it very clear from the outset that the New South Wales government, in fact, commends and supports the findings of Doherty Institute, and that we intend to implement our policies in that regard. However, we are currently in lockdown, and if during September and October we have higher rates of vaccination and certain communities indicate lower number of cases, there are opportunities for us to see what additional freedoms we give people. Does it mean we will live like we did before the outbreak? No. But what it does mean is that people will be able to do more than what they can today. And these are the issues and opportunities we're discussing with our health experts to see what are low-risk areas that we can ask people who've been vaccinated to undertake freely in September and October. So please know that they are two very different things. So of course, all of us strongly support 70% double vaccination as the point in time by which we start living life like we used to before the outbreak. And of course, once you get, and then between 70 and 80%, there's a transition. Once you hit 80% of double vaccination, what that means is that no longer do we focus on the number of cases, we focus on the number of hospitalisations, because when you have such high rates of vaccination, people can not only live more freely, but we can focus on keeping people out of hospital as opposed to counting the cases. And as Dr. Chan and other health experts have said, you transition then to a stage where you regard COVID as more like the flu as opposed to a sinister virus which is taking and threatening human life.
So it's no longer end of August, it's now looking at September and October.
No.
Is that August target now dead in the water?
No, can I just please, I'm not sure if people aren't listening to what I'm saying, but what the end of August means is if we have 6 million jabs, it gives us opportunities to think about how we can ease some restrictions that we currently have for people who live in communities with lower case numbers but high rates of vaccination. There are significant communities in Greater Sydney that are in that situation. But it does mean having careful thought to what are regarded as low risk, because we certainly don't want to increase the spread. We want to see case numbers go down. But that's a very different proposition to what life looks like at 70%. When 70% double dose vaccinations are there, it means you have more confidence that more and more people will be kept out of hospital. We can ease the strict restrictions that we have in place today. So please note that there are two very different things. Lockdown now plus some opportunities to live life differently in September and October is very different to what life looks like when we get to 70%. And I want to be very clear about that. Please know, for example, we've noticed in the last few days a huge demand for people who want to get back to work in those local government areas, for example, in the construction sector, coming forward and getting vaccinated, and we want to thank them for that. People who previously may have thought, oh, I don't really need to get vaccinated now, I can wait, are now seeing are incentivised. If it means getting back to work, people are incentivised to come forward and get the vaccine. So that's why I'm really calling out to everybody to saying, please get vaccinated, because there could be opportunities, there will be opportunities in September and October for us to be able to say to the community, if you are vaccinated, you might be able to do a certain level of activity which you can't do now. And they're conversations we're starting to have. And they are conversations which will be based on their health advice, low-risk activities where if people are vaccinated, they can go out and do. And it's an important way for us to send the strong message that vaccination prevents people going into hospital, it reduces the spread, and it gives us the chance to have people live a little bit more freely than what they're living today. But make no mistake, the 70% double dose, as the Doherty report says, which we accepted, which I strongly support, is when life will look very different to what it does today. And that is the bottom line.
Premier, can we the 50% vaccination target, any changes would be very minimal. So are you giving people false hope by suggesting that some restrictions would ease in September and October?
I think it's important to say to people that if we have higher rates of vaccination, there is every chance you might be able to do something more than what you can today. And I think for most people that is incentive. We've seen how the incentive of getting back to work in the last few days has really ignited people to get vaccinated. Those incentives work. And if we can incentivise people to say that if you're fully vaccinated, you might be able to undertake activity which you can't now, Well, that's a positive, and I think most people would appreciate that. September and October will be the most challenging months for us in terms of public policy, in terms of how we move forward, because we wouldn't have reached the 70%, but yet we would have increased vaccination rates, and some parts of Greater Sydney are demonstrating quite lower numbers of cases. But rather than speak on her behalf, I'm happy for Dr. Chunt to make comment on this as well.